there's a very good chance that I went 2 seconds over on that last video, and we'll check to see how hard-nosed they are at YouTube here. But what I've got in right now, I've got my profile to the right spot. I've got my profile tools up, and so I'm showing you once again the interfaces look the same. Because our proposed goes off of our surface, we have this issue, but because we knew exactly how far to draft, we have somewhere to shoot to. And so we're going to learn to do this all by fixed tangent 2 points, starting point, shift right click from the end point there. You're drafting over the top of what you did before. At that point you could do your, if you're smart, you could do your, you notice it's trying to grab here, you could do your at 200 comma minus would be 4, which becomes minus 40. That gets you your first one. I'll put in a couple more here as I'm going up through. You can go ahead and then starting point at spacebar, and you can kind of put in whatever you need to. Starting point at spacebar. Kind of looking around here. If you notice, as I set my datum here too low, considering what I had, I'm going to kind of be perhaps running out of room, and then I can kind of either cross calculate or whatever else to get these last 2 tangents here. Once again, it's an odd interface, start point at, and then my new point there. Last one, start point at. Minimum grade, you don't want to set your minimum grades here at endpoint to the endpoint there. Well, in this case, right, and now we've got the vertical done. I'll go ahead and stick some vertical curves in just to finish that up in this one. You notice this one here, you really don't want to go much beyond, and I'm probably a little bit off here. You probably wanted to have something a little higher up, and so I can go ahead and add, if you would, I can add a vertical tangent VPI. Probably the start of the road was something like that. I can go ahead and move, do anything else, but I can now go ahead and also do things like free vertical curves parameter, grab my first entity, grab my next entity, minimum. I'm going to put a K value in here, and I'm going to put something like, for this case I'll put something like 30. You see how that curve shouldn't extend into the roadway, but you've got something reasonable there. I'll go ahead and do the other two the same. Grab, grab, and then I put a K value of 50 here. And then I'm going to finish down here. Grab, grab, do the same thing, K value of 50. Once you take the K value, multiply it by the change in grade, and that's the length of the vertical curve. I'm zooming in and out. Unfortunately, it's probably getting you seasick. I'm going to jump down here and do the last as well. Here, here, and here. And the vertical curves are done. You now have done everything. The last bit I'll show you before we break on this one is that you, at this point, you have a vertical, so you want to go ahead and change this now. You go up to the profile view properties, you go into the bands, and you go to this point over here where your labels are going to be surface 1. I think the surface 1 should be as it is, and the second one should be the proposed. If it's not, it's the reverse. Hit OK. You're going to look to your profile there, find this is a cut section, so your second one should be lower, and it isn't, so those are reversed. Existing is on the left, proposed is on the right, so you want to make that proposed 2 should be surface 1, and profile 1 should be proposed. We hit apply, OK, we check it again. You see that in the cut section the proposed is less than the existing, and you're good to go on a lot of information. You know, there's be a lot more settings to change in terms of where's your low points, etc. But you have, in all reality, something that you could very quickly come up with a set of plan and profiles. Don't forget here, before you get out, to do the -V, W for window, overall underscore profile from here to here. And then we'll try to finish this up quickly by going minus. Remember, we've done the zoom center. We know where it's at. It's not a hard one to remember. And then we're going to go down to 0, 0, and then 100. Okay. Now, I'll point out that really we probably should be reserving the 0, 0 for something besides our typicals, but I'm going to go ahead and put things there to start. I bring up, at this point, I'm bringing up the set of assembly, sub-assembly templates. We're going to go ahead and start with, of course, put that off on the side for now. You want to start with creating an assembly. Same thing, you want to give it a name. See how this comes in. I haven't saved in quite a long time. Not too smart. So we'll see when this thing starts eating up what the story is. And we are about 45 minutes into a design, but we've already got a road done. All we have left to do is to do the profile, and we should be good. So at this point in time, you're hoping that you have your time set, your time saving set. If you don't, at any point in the past when you finished up one of the design steps, a write block or notation or writing down your stations, etc., would have been important. At this point, of course, we haven't really done anything because all we've done is we've kind of tried to get some base information. We haven't really had done a lot of design work. It's all offset 660, etc. We do have, however, a surface that we put in, and so during the process, writing things out before you get to this infinite loop would probably be a good idea. So I'm going to hit an escape key at this point. Looks like it did something. Escape. It's not doing much. It's trying something, and I'm going to do File, Save. It's going to save this, is my guess, and it did. Somehow this is working a lot harder than it's supposed to with this moving bit here. So I'll try one more. If we try that assembly one more time, create assembly. Remember to give it the number 4606, basic. Where are you going to put it? 0, 20 if you're stacking them up above. We now have an ability to go, and these are not the DOT standards, but I'll go ahead and show you what they look like. Basic, we'll go to lanes here, get a basic lane, pull this out into this area here. So you've kind of got all kinds of different lanes. Or generic. Let me try to see if I can get, let's see if I can get here generic. How about generic? Conditional, retaining walls, lane shoulders, generic. Well, a generic, that's doing it for you. How about basic? We'll go ahead and do a basic lane. See it start to look just like everything else. It's got settings left, right, etc. You're just going to go ahead and this will close. This will close. You need to grab onto something around the 0, 0, which got, there it is. I'm going to grab the assembly marker. It does it. Return for detached. And then I'm going to hit a return. We've got that one in. We would like to go ahead and rename it. If we could, you could do that right here. So you've got one in, you go to the next one as well, back to home. And now we're going to go to basic, perhaps curb and gutter. You're looking for grabbing that thing. It's asking you to put in information. It's now asking for you to grab some spot you're trying to grab. And it actually hopefully puts it there. And then finally you want at very least to add a daylight. Again, before you add daylight, probably a good idea to change that curb to 4606 underscore curb underscore right. So this naming becomes really important. And finally, the daylight. And the daylight generally seen has been quite not so easy to work with, but that zoom center you can see here becomes something you'd rather have set up to be something like a view. So daylight general, lots of settings in there we've seen before, and then you want to grab something in that template. Same bit, escape, grab it, change it to daylight general. So 4606 daylight underscore right. It starts to make it easier as you're within the templates and the sub-assemblies. You're good there. The last bit is to now take those two things. Hopefully we can get this done. You're going to grab all the way across your sub-assemblies, go to the mirror sub-assemblies, grab your bit, grab your marker, and you're good to go. Last bit then to do is our hope. Remember the views? You can hit view, V for view, go to overall plan, set current, okay. We got about 3 minutes left. We'll see how this all works. We've got some pretty big cuts and fills, and I did not do anything with my cuts on left and right, but you can go ahead now and make a corridor. Create a simple corridor, choose from the list. Again, 4606 Main Street, and you don't need to do more than that on the corridor. Hit OK here. Hit a space bar, choose from the list. Hit a space bar, choose from the list. And hit a space bar and choose from the list. Grab your targets, hit OK, and let it completely go to town. You should save before you do this as well. You see it comping a fair bit here. I got a lot of cuts and fills going on in this thing, and you see therefore you would have a lot of errors. But as you do it, you've got some sort of computation going on as the road comes through, and you're relatively good with what you need to do there. Next steps after you get everything done are to, of course, grab this. Right, that takes you out. You make some regions, but you want to go to corridor properties. Eventually, go to surfaces, and you want to use this button right here to generate a lot of surfaces, of which you most are interested in is the one on the top. As you push on that there, you'll see if you push this out, the top one, and you're interested in the datum one. Top, slope link, daylight, subbase, datum. You're interested in at least those two, and then you're interested in putting boundaries on each of them. So if you think about that, you can go ahead, right click, add interactively. We'll try to do the interactive one. Okay, first point on the feature line would be someplace like that. And then we're going to add, we see we don't have anything that we have on that feature line because it's not showing me my daylight out in that end. So I can hit a cancel here, and I could probably go out to here and look for something like a daylight, which we don't see. So I'll hit cancel there. We'll be looking for things like daylight. You need to get your boundaries done, but you've got a decent surface put through here, and you've got actually surfaces that you can do something with over time. You can notice here this kind of stepping here is due to the fact that some of the settings that were in the daylight section. Alright, we'll call that good. Last thing to do on this project then is to fix all this up and to cut samples and sections. Thanks for listening.